What's It Play presents 10 of the best Xbox Series X games so far, all arranged by CriticScore. As a special list, these titles are backed with an average of 5 major critic scores and reviewed on their Series X console. For missing titles, check out our full list at whatsaplay.com, link in the description box below. Opening our rankings at number 10 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. Everyone with a decent enough childhood will remember how Tony Hawk's Pro Skater changed some gamers' life to some extent. This remake is the perfect way for the old and the potential new fans to experience the age-old classic. As a title from the early 2000s released in 2021, a new-gen revamp is much needed. Enjoy 2 of the most beloved Pro Skater titles on your Series X with HD visuals, intuitive quality of life changes, and so much more. It was already a fantastic remake, literally bringing the franchise back from the dead, said Attack of the Fanboy, who gave it a score of 9.00. It receives a critic score of 8.04. At rank 9, we have Judgment. This Yakuza spin-off wasn't the strongest of the series, but it did generate new fans that came to love this new approach to the universe. Originally a PlayStation 4 release, this next-gen upgrade is ready to play for the Series X with better visuals and sound. Fans of the Yakuza series will find some of its mechanics familiar, but in terms of story, it's far from the wacky adventures it had. Judgment is pretty serious for a game set in the same universe as this one. The combat is still pretty engaging. Use your fist and take down thugs trying to stop your progress. The Xbox Hub's Richard Dorson gave it a score of 4.5 out of 5, praising how it works well on the Series X. A critic score of 8.07. Making its way to rank number 8 is Resident Evil Village. Breaking record after record, this latest entry to Capcom's beloved survival horror series won the hearts of many. And yes, we all know how crazy the internet is about those vampires. Noobfeed reviewed Village on the Series X and gave it a score of 90 out of 100. He mentioned how Capcom successfully balances the action with tense chase sequences against well-designed antagonists so you never feel safe. The RE engine is by far the most adaptable gaming engine to date. There are minor moments where the game loses a couple of frames, but it's not distracting since the game knows how to immerse you into its creepy European atmosphere. It receives a critic score of 8.10. At rank number 7, we have Yakuza, Like a Dragon. And we're back to Yakuza and we're saying goodbye to the previous title's real-time combat. In Like a Dragon, the switch to turn-based alleviated some of the game's chaotic moments. Now with more time to breathe, enjoying this brand new story gives players all the time in the world to deal with their enemies. Anyone with an Xbox Series X might want to grab this game if they're interested in some lighthearted but story-heavy titles. Reviewer Luke Albiges from True Achievements played it on his Series X. He gave it a score of 4.5 out of 5 and stated that it is easily one of the launch day highlights for the Xbox Series X and S. For Game Pass users, you can play all the Yakuza titles except for Like a Dragon. But if you want to familiarize yourself with the series, you can always pick them up and play. Like a Dragon has a critic score of 8.20. At rank number 6, we have Mass Effect Legendary Edition. BioWare's space opera trilogy easily cemented itself as gaming's best back in the day. But now, anyone who missed out on this epic science fiction story can finally experience what Commander Shepard and his friends did to save the galaxy. As a remastered version, expect major touch-ups to its visuals and gameplay. You're no longer playing with the clunky shooting and broken tank controls of the originals. All 3 Mass Effect titles, excluding Andromeda because that game didn't exist, are made better for the new generation, including the Series X. Almost all major reviewers gave it a thumbs up. Whether you're new to the series or playing it again, this is worth checking out. A critic score of 8.25. Opening the upper half at rank number 5 is Tetris Effect Connected. For a game about blocks, Tetris sure has come a long way. Now standing between these AAA giants, this classic arcade game is one of the Series X's best. If you're looking to kill a few minutes of your time or satisfy your addiction to T-spins, then Connected has a ton of ways to help you with that. Connected has diversified the experience with fancy current-gen gimmicks, including a 99-player battle royale-like mode. It's still Tetris and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Did we mention it comes free with a Game Pass? It receives a critic score of 8.25. At rank number 4, we have Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, a re-release for the next-gen consoles, especially with the Series X. Follow Dante, Nero, and V's journey in a demon-infested world in the special edition of DMC5. If anyone's familiar with the next-gen package, this edition showcases the impressive ray tracing technologies as a visual upgrade. In addition to that, Dante's brooding bro also gets his own playable story. The Sixth Axis gave it a score of 9, saying DMC5 Special Edition for the Xbox Series X builds on the excellence of the original series. It receives a critic score of 8.36. At rank number 3, we have Hitman. IO Interactive's big-budget stealth game has a slight resolution advantage on Microsoft's premier new-gen console. It runs at a crisp 4K with 60 frames per second and high shadows. On the other hand, the Sony counterpart runs at a mere 1800p with medium shadows. If you aren't nitpicky around those details, then Hitman 3 is still impressive on all consoles, new or old gen. Roaming from one country to another, fulfilling each of its long list of objectives truly showcases the series at its peak with its glorious ray tracing support. It received a perfect score from EGM Now. They praised its satisfying conclusion and technical improvements, calling it a fantastic capstone to a standout series. It receives a critic score of 8.46. It Takes Two takes rank number 2. Anyone familiar with Joseph Fares' A Way Out will find something special in this new co-op-only adventure game from Hazelight Studios. Best played with a partner or a friend, enjoy its lengthy campaign where you help mend a broken marriage amidst ridiculous metaphors. It challenges you to solve numerous puzzles that range from creative to downright ridiculous. Each level offers a different kind of gameplay that bends genres. It's a massive success, receiving positive reviews from a lot of notable game critics. Most of its praise comes from its co-op. We Got This Covered gave it a score of 9. They stated, "It is a masterpiece of creativity and cooperative gameplay that makes it one of the most memorable experiences in modern gaming." It has a critic score of 8.51.
What's the matter with us?
At the peak of this list is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the system seller for Microsoft's flagship new-gen console. Ubisoft's latest entry to their long-running action RPG series takes players into the realm of the Norsemen. Its open world is gorgeous and it's packed with activities that can net you hours and hours of content. While it may be a cause for concern for people with little time to spare, Valhalla managed to fix some of the problems from previous titles. Now the game has a decent story to tell and a ton of new content coming out soon. Its Series X version runs at a smooth 60 frames per second at native 4K. Its picturesque landscapes lures players into taking screenshots. It's that type of game you could show off to your friends on your big screen. It received 9s and 8s from major critic sites. Some might even say this is the best of the new-gen AC titles. It receives a critic score of 8.54.